They say good things come in small packages, and that's exactly what we've got here today. A little while ago on the channel, Andy reviewed the original capsule microphone from NZXT, and he gave it some praise. Well, NZXT have now taken a Honey I Shrunk the Kids approach, and now we have the Capsule Mini and the Boom Arm Mini. Does this smaller size mean smaller or a dip in performance? Let's have a look at them and find out.
Utilizing a 90-degree rotated motherboard layout, Alta F2 carries the torch of Silverstone's stack effect, bottom to top directional airflow design legacy.
Hi guys, I'm Matt and welcome to Kit Guru and to my full review of the NZXT Capsule Mini microphone and the NZXT Boom Arm Mini Boom Arm. Now the mic RRP, I'll start off with the pricing as I usually do. The mic retail price is $59.99, which is a saving of 50 quid over the original full-size capsule. And then the boom arm is the same, $59.99. That's a saving of 20 quid over the full-sized boom arm that you can get from NZXT. And just like the regular capsule, the microphone, the mini microphone, is designed with simplicity in mind and to be just a USB plug and play device. So let's put it through its paces, both on and off a desk, and see how it performs. Before I dive in, I just want to talk about the spec differences compared to the full-sized capsule. To look at, it's almost exactly the same as the full-sized model, only smaller, but there are a few differences on the spec sheet. The frequency response on the Mini is a stripped back 100 to 10,000 kHz compared to the 20 to 20,000 kHz found on the original. According to NZXT, this is to focus in on the frequency range where the human voice resides. We're going to have a listen to it later in some sound tests and you can make up your own mind. The max SPL, or sound pressure level, which is a measurement of the amount of noise that a microphone can take before it distorts, is 110 decibels on the Mini, but is 120 decibels on the original. The THD, or total harmonic distortion, is 0.23% at 1 kHz for the Capsule Mini, and it was 0.1% at 1 kHz on the original. That's just a measurement of how pure a signal is at a given frequency, in this case 1 kHz. The sample rate has been cut back on the Mini to be capable of up to 24-bit 48,000 Hz or 48 kHz. That's on the Mini, and then on the original it was 24-bit up to 96,000 Hz, 96 kHz. The built-in headphone amp is completely untouched and is the same across both models. It's got a 16 ohm impedance, and then there's also the same USB-C connection and 1/4-inch thread adapter across both the capsule sizes. So that summarises the difference between the two. Now let's focus in on this new one, the Capsule Mini. Obviously, the main difference, as I mentioned a minute ago, is the size. The Capsule Mini measures roughly 13 centimetres tall and 5 centimetres across. It's tiny in comparison to the big one. The Capsule Mini is available in black or white matte finishes. It comes with a very, very solid desktop mount made out of solid metal. It's one of the best desk mounts I've ever come across. As was the mount included with the original capsule, that was really solid too. More metal can be found on the mic grill, which also feels really good quality. But unfortunately, the rest of the body is made from plastic. That's a key difference as well from the original size capsule. I know I said I'd stop talking about the differences, but that is a difference I need to point out. The full-sized original capsule was made almost entirely of metal. The design is almost exactly the same, and I really like it if I'm honest. The majority of the body is finished in a matte white paint with some NZXT branding on the front. That branding sits just above a single dial for turning the headphone monitoring up and down, and that dial can also be clicked in to mute or unmute the mic. There's no way of knowing the level of the volume on that dial though, aside from actually listening to the volume, which, to be fair, you're always going to be listening to it when you adjust it, so its inclusion is understandable, but an upper or lower stop in the rotation of the dial, instead of it just turning and turning and turning, or an LED indicator of that level, would have been a nice little inclusion. Just underneath the dial, there's a small status LED, which is white when the mic is live and red when the mic is muted. It's an easy way to see if the randoms in your game can hear you eating Doritos while you're getting no-scoped over and over and over again. Disappointingly, there's no way to control the mic gain from the mic itself. That's one of the biggest drawbacks of this mic, in my opinion. You have to adjust that gain within Windows or within NZXT's CAM software, which means alt-tabbing out of a game or whatever it is that you're doing if you want to tweak things. That's not really an ideal setup. On the bottom of the Capsule Mini, there's a headphone jack, which can be used for both listening to the output of your PC and also monitoring the mic output, which they call side tone. A lot of different companies call side tone. It's known as side tone or monitoring, and you can change the mix between the two in the software that I mentioned, NZXT's CAM software, which I'm going to cover in more detail later in the video. And then there's the USB port for connecting it to your PC. The Capsule Mini comes with a USB-C to USB-A cable in the box, but unfortunately there's no adapter. If you want to use it USB-C to C, there's no adapter in there. You'll have to go out and buy one or use a different cable. And then finally we have the thread for attaching it to a boom arm or a mic arm, whatever you want to call it. There's a 3/8" adapter in the box, which should suit the majority of mic/boom arms on the market. And talking of boom arms, let's move on to talk about the new Boom Arm Mini. If you want to keep it on brand, then you can go NZXT as well and pick up a Boom Arm Mini to suit your Capsule Mini. There's a pattern emerging here. Do you remember when phones used to be tiny and then they went massive and then they went tiny again and it keeps to and fro? And that kind of thing, is that going to happen with peripherals now? Let's wait and see. I've been using the Boom Arm Mini for the past few weeks with both the mini capsule and the full-sized capsule mics, and it's decent, although a little bit small for my tastes and my setup. Setting it up is as simple as you'd like. It comes in two parts, the desk clamp and then the arm itself. You just secure the clamp wherever you want it to go, and then you just stick the arm in the top of it. It's really easy. The Boom Arm Mini has a maximum vertical reach of roughly 67 centimeters and a maximum horizontal reach of roughly 56 centimeters. I've had it mounted to the rail across the back of the Platform 6 desk from Corsair, and the mic, I've had the mic just sitting just above my right hand monitor, which is kind of unconventional, but it's really convenient having it positioned there. I've really enjoyed not having a mic arm or mic in front of my face. It's not the best positioning for audio performance, but as I said, I've really enjoyed not staring at a mic arm while I'm playing games. The structure and build quality of the Boom Arm Mini is really good. It tightens up enough to hold the mic still, and that goes for the full-sized, fully metal capsule mic too. I was a little disappointed that the rotation of the arm as a whole, like this rotation, cannot be locked down at all. It moves side to side at will and just swings, which will be both a plus and a minus for some people. Some people will want it locked in place. Others will want to be able to just swing it out of the way quickly. But fortunately, the rest of the joints, like here and the one you can't see behind the box here, they can be locked down and tightened really tight, so you can really get the microphone in the perfect position and get it right in front of your mouth if you want to. Weirdly, the Boom Arm Mini is only available in matte black, whereas the mic is available in black and white. A white option of the mic would have made sense and would have been perfect, really, if you want to go matchy-matchy, as people often quite do. They want their setups to look good. So a white option of this mic arm to match the white mic, if that's what you chose, if you did pick one up, would have been understandable. It would have made sense. I don't understand why they didn't do it. So, enough talk about specs. We could talk about that all day. It's a mini version of an NZXT microphone. How this thing sounds matters more than anything. So let's dive into some sound tests. So, jumping into a quick mic test. Well, I say quick, it's not going to be that quick. As you can see from the webcam I've got set up, as well as my camera, I have 4 mics on the desk in front of me, all on their desk stands. First we have the NZXT Capsule Mini, which is what you're hearing now, on its desk stand, pointing directly at my mouth. Next to that, we've got the full-size NZXT Capsule. On the end here, we have the Elgato Wave 3. And then on the opposite end, I don't know why I didn't run through them in order, but on the opposite end, we have the MSI GV60 streaming mic that I reviewed on the channel a little while ago. So we're going to run through them, do a comparison in some different scenarios. We'll start out simple with them on the desk stands, like I said. As I said, again, this is the Capsule Mini microphone that you're hearing right now. The only adjustments that I'll make to the microphones throughout the duration of these tests is just adjusting the gain so I'm not clipping or anything like that. So this is the Capsule Mini. Let us know what you think of the audio in the comments down below the video, and let us know which one of these mics do you think is best. So now I've moved over to the full-sized NZXT Capsule mic on its desk stand, pointing directly at my mouth at a distance of probably 8 to 10 inches, something like that. This is the sound you're going to get. I'll tell you how much. There is minus roughly 5 decibels of gain through OBS just to stop the mic from clipping. So this is the sound you're going to get out of the twice as expensive big sibling to the Capsule Mini. Now let's move on to the Elgato Wave 3, a really popular USB mic. So now we are on the Elgato Wave 3, as I said before, an insanely popular USB plug and play sort of mic. I don't have Wavelink installed. I've just plugged it in and I've adjusted the gain control on the actual microphone, on the dial itself. Something that's a feature that it has in itself that the Capsule Mini doesn't have, but it's sound that matters. So let us know which one you think is winning so far. Now I'm going to move over to the biggest of the mics, the MSI GV60, one that I reviewed personally and I quite rated it, so let's see how it stacks up against the others. So now we are on the MSI GV60 streaming mic, one that I reviewed on the channel a little while back. The gain's on about 50% on the knob, the dial, on the microphone itself. So here we have 4. We've got the bigger version of the mic we're reviewing today. We've got the insanely popular Elgato Wave 3, and we've got one from kind of left field, the MSI GV60, which you don't see many people talk about. So let us know down in the comments which one of these 4 mics you think sounds best. So now we've moved over to the mics mounted on a boom arm section of the sound test. This is the Capsule Mini to kick things off, and I've had to adjust the gain down a little bit just because the microphone's a lot closer to my mouth, a lot closer to the audio source, which mic placement is arguably the most important thing in getting good sound quality out of any microphone. So this is the sound out of the box, no tweaks or anything apart from that gain, out of the NZXT Capsule Mini. I'm just going to do some knocking on my desk. I'll hit my keyboard a little bit just so we can look at the noise rejection and how much vibration this mic arm picks up. Hello, this is Matt from Kit Guru, mashing my keyboard for a video. So that was the noise rejection of the NZXT Capsule Mini. Now let's move on to look at the full-sized Capsule microphone. We'll stick that on the boom arm and see how that sounds. So now we have the NZXT Capsule, the full-sized version, the original version that Andy reviewed, and this is the sound you're going to get out of it when it's much closer to the sound source. I'm going to tap the desk a little bit, just see how the boom arm that is supporting this mic really well, to be fair. This is a bigger mic than the Capsule Mini, and the boom arm Mini is doing a fine job of keeping it in place. Now I'll hit the desk a little bit and do a little bit of typing on the keyboard, and we can check the noise rejection out. So this is the sound out of the full-size Capsule. Now let's move on and listen to the other 2. So now we are on the Elgato Wave 3. I'm not going to go into too much detail on these mics, as this isn't really a mic battle video. This is a review of the NZXT Capsule Mini, but this is the sound you're going to get out of the Elgato Wave 3 when it's mounted on the boom arm Mini, showing that yet again the boom arm Mini is capable of mounting plenty of mics, not just the NZXT ones. And finally, in the comparison then, this is the MSI GV60 mounted on the NZXT Boom Arm Mini. This is quite a chunky mic, and the boom arm's doing a really good job of holding it in place. I did have to tighten it up a little bit, but it's holding it perfectly well now. So the versatility of this boom arm is quite good, although it isn't quite long enough for me to mount mics like this straight on at my face and straight on at my mouth, so I have to off-center the position of the microphone. Now finally we'll have a quick listen listen to what the Capsule Mini sounds like when you have it mounted above the monitor, like I've mentioned in the video, which is a really convenient way of just sticking it up out of the way so the boom arm or the mic arm isn't in your face while you're trying to game and stuff like that. So let's jump into that, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the mic's performance afterwards. And the final test then, and this is kind of an outline. Not everyone's going to have their mic set up like this, but I just wanted to show the audio performance that you can get. You can see the mic just up there. It's just above my monitor, and I've got it kind of sticking above me. I really like this positioning because it's just so nice not having a mic arm sticking across in front of you and restricting your movement and your vision and that sort of stuff. So this is the sound quality, and my voice should have lost a lot of clarity and a lot of presence and a lot of bass now. Just goes to show how important mic positioning is. But that's the end of the mic comparison and the mic testing for this video. Let us know down in the comments which one you think sounds best, and bear in mind, take into account that this one costs 60 quid. I think the Elgato Wave 3 is 130 to 150 quid. The MSI GV60 is 100 quid. And the full-sized Capsule is about 100, 120 quid. Sometimes it goes on sale. But that's just off the top of my head. But this is by far the cheapest mic out of the four that I've shown in this comparison. So listening back to that in editing, it is clear to me that this microphone, for its size and for its price, can keep up with the larger full-sized Capsule, and it can put out some very, very decent audio. And as you'll have picked up, and if you take one thing from those mic tests, it's that mic positioning is very, very important with any mic, not just these. When I had the Capsule Mini positioned above me on the boom arm, just above my monitor, there was a clear loss of low end and presence in my voice. But when it was positioned much closer and in front of my mouth, the audio performance and the audio that it captured improved drastically. And overall, I'm quite impressed with how this little £60 mic sounded. It held its own against much more expensive and much more kind of feature-rich, much more complex microphones that should sound better, but this thing, you'll get decent sound out of it for the price you're going to pay. NZXT's focus on the vocal range of frequencies in the Capsule Mini works well, I think. And while I don't have the equipment or environment to measure frequency responses just yet, that's something that's in the pipeline, it was clear to hear that the Capsule Mini can produce some pretty good sounding audio. As for build quality then, on the microphone, it's nowhere near as good as the full-sized Capsule. But then the Mini is much cheaper. It's almost half the price. For the asking price of 60 quid, I think it's acceptable. Although the body is plastic, it does feel okay. The paint feels really good quality. It feels smooth to the touch, and it seems like it'll fare well over the long run. Only time will tell, I suppose, about that though. The dial on the front, that just wobbles around too much for my liking, as did the clickable dial on the original Capsule, as Andy mentioned in his video. The tolerances on that dial could be much, much better, and I'd like to see more quality in a dial like that. Turning the dial itself feels okay. It's got well-defined steps, and it kind of feels like a good quality mouse wheel. It's got a nice tactile click when you press it in to mute or unmute the mic as well. So actually using it feels okay, but the wobble in the housing is not acceptable. And then I mentioned it quickly earlier, but the lack of gain control on the mic itself means that you're going to have to adjust the gain level for the microphone in software of some sort, either in Windows by adjusting the level in the operating system's sound device settings, or you can install NZXT's CAM software. Just bear in mind that CAM isn't compatible with Mac though, so if you're using this microphone on an Apple computer, you're going to lose a little bit of functionality. Inside the software, you're going to get adjustment dials for headphone volume, microphone gain, and side tone, which is how much of the mic you're going to hear through the headphones that I quickly mentioned earlier in the video. That's great, and it works really well. There's no latency at all, and it works really well and suits if you're using closed back headphones and you struggle to hear yourself when you're talking. I do that sometimes, and I end up shouting, so being able to hear myself kind of helps with that. That's all there is inside CAM, inside NZXT's software for the Capsule Mini. The software does offer some more functionality though, like stuff like PC monitoring and system specs. And overall, I have used it before, Cam, and I feel it's pretty good. It's laid out well and it's easy to use. The design is easy on the eye and it's not excessively resource heavy. So in conclusion then, I like the Capsule Mini. For the price, it captures good sounding audio and will work perfectly well for anyone just getting into streaming, for example. The lack of any physical gain control is a bit of a letdown though. Having to adjust that in software is a pain. If you're a set and forget user, then it's not going to be so much of an issue. But if you're in an environment kind of like I am, where the constantly changing ambient noise levels means you change the gain all the time, then having to go into software to change it is just a faff. The design I really like, it's great and it fits in well with any other NZXT products. It's very, very on brand for them as a company. The plastic construction is something I had to mention in the review, but in reality, if you're going to stick it on a boom arm, then I can't see it being an issue day to day. And for the price, I can't grumble too much about plastic being used. They've got to cut the corner somewhere. They've got to get it lighter, cheaper, and just still get the sound as good, which the sound I was really impressed with, so I can look past that. And then the Boom Arm Mini then. The Boom Arm Mini is okay. It's a little bit expensive compared to some budget options you can pick up on Amazon and across the internet. £60 for a mini boom arm is a little bit over the top. It's built well though, and it has a good level of sturdiness to it. It'll work with a lot more mics than just the Capsule Mini. A white version would have been great, so NZXT, please add one in the future if it's possible. I'm not sure why there isn't one now. If you choose to pick up both of these items for 120 quid, you're going to get a pretty decent mic setup for your hard-earned pennies. You could definitely do a lot worse. And that's all for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like down below if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to Kit Guru to keep up with the latest PC gaming news and reviews. If you go down into the video's description, you're going to find links to our Patreon page if you're feeling generous, our Discord server and our website if you want to check those two out. And if you want to buy any merch like the hoodies that I've got on and the t-shirts you see me and the other guys wearing in our videos, then you're going to find links to our merch store just below the video as well. Anyway guys, I've been Matt. This has been the NZXT Capsule Mini Mic and the NZXT Boom Arm Mini Boom Arm. I was really impressed with this, and this is pretty good too. I'll speak to you in the next one. Look after yourselves. See you later.